Slope-intercept form lesson 2. For this particular lesson, this is a piece of art that someone has created. I've forgotten the artist's name, but it's a really creepy kind of artwork in my opinion. The artist used donated animal hair. No animals were harmed, but donated animal hair, and he actually inserted the animal hair so it looks like the random head here has a 5 o'clock shadow and has eyelashes and eyebrows, and even in a different angle you can see a little bit of nose hair. And this is a person, a real world person, standing right behind this head, and so you can see just the scope of how large this object is. So slope-intercept form. For this lesson, we're going to need to work with solving equations. And remember, when you are solving equations, you're working PEMDAS backwards. You can think of Sally Aunt Dear My Excuse Please or SADMEP. So step 1, we won't be using this one today, but step 1, we're going to combine any like terms. This will come in handy later on, but today we won't need to worry with it. Step 2, we're going to undo any addition and subtraction. Step 3, undo any multiplication and division. Remember, the goal is to isolate your variable, or to get your variable completely by itself. Here's a background example for us. We've got 2x plus 5 equals 11. First thing, like I recommended with BoardWorks in the past, I want you to draw a line through your equal sign. Step 1, we aren't combining like terms today. Step 2, we need to undo any adding and subtracting. Right now, x, we're adding 5 to x. To get rid of adding 5 to x, I'm going to subtract 5 from each side. So 5 minus 5 is 0, so I'm going to bring down my 2x. (11 minus 5 is 6. So 2x equals 6. The last step, undo any multiplication and division. Well, x is being multiplied by 2. To get rid of multiplication by 2, I'm going to divide each side by 2. Dividing each side by 2 gives me an x value of 3. Try this example on your own. Pause your video at this time. Did you get x equals 15? If you did, draw yourself a fox. If you did not, go back and try it again. Now this is going to lead us into problems like this. We've got 2x plus 5y equals 10, and we're looking for the slope and the y-intercept. Well, in order to find the slope and y-intercept, it has to be in slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b like we've dealt with in the past. And this equation definitely does not fit that because we've got x and y on the same side. So our goal, we need to isolate y, or solve for y first. So looking at what's happening to y is being multiplied by 5, and we're adding 2x. Just as in the last problem, we're going to undo any addition and subtraction first. So to get rid of adding 2x, I'm going to subtract 2x from each side. (2x minus 2x is 0, so I'm just left with 5y on the left. Negative 2x and 10, we cannot combine those because 10 doesn't have any x with it. So I'm just going to write that as negative 2x. And since 10 is positive, I'll make that negative 2x plus 10. Now we still haven't completely gotten y by itself. So our next step is to undo that multiplication and division. So I'm going to divide each part by 5 on both sides. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I'm left with y on the left. On the right, negative 2x over 5, I can just simplify that to negative 2/5 x. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. So negative 2/5 x plus 2. Now that my equations solve for y, I can find the slope and the y-intercept. In this case, the slope is negative 2/5, and the y-intercept is in the form 0, 2. Try this one on your own. It's the exact same idea. Be careful in this case. To get rid of your 3x, you cannot add 3x. Even though there's subtraction here, you have to get rid of 3x by subtracting 3x. If your first step was to add it, 3x plus 3x would be 6x, and that doesn't get you any closer to getting y by itself. So your first step needs to be subtracting 3x. Pause your video at this time. Did you get one of these equations? If you did, make sure you find your slope and y-intercept next. If you didn't, go back to the last example and see if you can figure out your mistake. Once you've got one of these equations and all three of them are identical, so it doesn't matter which one you ended up with, you should find that you have a slope of 3/4 and your y-intercept is in the form 0, negative 3 and 75/100. If you had negative 15/4 or negative 3 or 3/4, that would also be an equivalent answer for your y-intercept. Re-emphasizing what we've talked about in class the past few days, parallel lines have the same slope. Which two lines are parallel? This is your homework assignment for tonight. So your first part of this step is going to be to actually put these in slope-intercept form. So solve for y, then figure out which two lines are in fact parallel. Have a nice night.